elderly and sparing children almost entirely, but being highly infectious in those showing few symptoms. Yet months later, public announcements on the radio were still parroting the nonsense that everybody and anybody was at risk of death. An ultra-precautious mentality took hold, constantly reinforced by the deliberate policy of inducing fear and anxiety in the population to ensure compliance. This led to foolish mistakes like police harassment of hill walkers and deadly ones like shipping hospital patients to care homes. Expert advice was badly unbalanced with the malign effects of lockdown itself on cancer diagnosis, mental health, loneliness and economic ruin going largely ignored. Ironically, another reason that lockdown became the weapon of choice was excessive optimism about timing. In March 2020, we were assured lockdown was a brief interruption to save the hospitals from being overwhelmed. Yet it was never realistic that the virus would just go away that fast. Thereafter, we were told that lockdowns would buy time till a vaccine came riding to the rescue. But this was dangerously optimistic about whether a vaccine would be developed at all, let alone fast. In the event, this miracle did occur, though we appeared to have overlooked the fact that rolling out a vaccine would take a long time, even in a very well-prepared country like Britain. But if the cavalry had not appeared, would we really have kept the country locked down for years? This was not a sustainable policy. The final argument for lockdown was that there was no alternative. Mark demolishes this in devastating and relentless fashion, demonstrating clearly that his proposal to shield the elderly and cocoon the vulnerable by protecting those who came into contact with them would have worked far better and done far less other harm. After all, this latter policy was what we suddenly discovered and adopted when the vaccine came along. If the elderly were to be prioritized for vaccination, why not for protection as well? This is a book that shows what we should have done when the UK was confronted with the greatest national crisis of recent decades. Mark's advice would be important, even if these were lessons we could only have learned from hindsight. But this isn't hindsight. This is the story of the advice that he was giving at the time as the crisis unfolded. Matt Ridley. Chapter 1. Sounding the Alarm. Early in the new year of 2020, I was in my office in Edinburgh reading through media accounts of a puzzling respiratory disease, possibly a viral pneumonia, that had surfaced in the city of Wuhan in eastern China. I was concerned and tried to find out more. On January the 7th, a helpful journalist sent me a copy of a report written by the Wuhan Municipal Health Committee. The report said that 59 patients were suspected to have caught the mystery disease, 7 of whom had become critically ill. The first cases dated back to mid-December 2019, and many were linked to the South China seafood wholesale market in the north of Wuhan. The same day, the Chinese authorities announced that they had identified the cause of Wuhan pneumonia. It was a coronavirus. A pandemic begins. As I'd been studying the emergence of new viruses for more than 20 years, I knew what to look out for. New human viruses usually come from animals, and most of them don't spread well between humans. Some coronaviruses can do, though, which meant they were high on the list of viruses to worry about. The fact that there were already 59 cases in a single outbreak told me that this coronavirus probably did spread from person to person, so it was potentially a pandemic virus. If it was probably already too late to stop it. I knew that a respiratory virus could spread around our highly interconnected world and seed a pandemic in a matter of days, and I'd just learned that this one had been spreading for weeks. There were still plenty of unknowns, but I was now very worried. On January the 12th, Chinese scientists published the new virus's genome sequence, its genetic code. The genome sequence confirmed that it was a coronavirus and told us that it is closely related to the SARS coronavirus. This was more bad news. SARS is an extremely dangerous disease that killed more than 700 people in 2003. Only a prompt and vigorous international response had averted a full-scale pandemic.